Do. You know what else that like half of America hated to see this week? The Aaron Hernandez documentary went wild.
Did it need to be 3 hours?
Yeah, I think that they had a lot. You know, I could have done.
I like that it was episodes. I like that it was spaced out.
If they would have out of those 3 hours, they could have cut 20 minutes of the high school quarterback and dad and of the other old friend, the guy with the black V-neck that was like, I would play pool with Aaron and DJ.
Yeah.
You know, those two guys.
But I thought the dad was funny. I liked the dad.
The dad, everything he said. Okay, no,
needed-
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Getting ahead of ourselves. So let's start with what everybody knows is that this guy, we all know that he was given a $40 million contract while under investigation, and then arrested for murder. And then I think it's the next year's Super Bowl run. The trial's playing out during that. It can't be that same year because the court does not work that quickly.
No.
He got arrested in the spring.
He made
2011.
he made his money, and then the murder happened like 4 or 5 months later.
It was.
He signed the contract before the murder that he got.
But there were
convicted
two
of.
investigations.
But the one that happened before was way later when they actually looked at it. They had no idea.
That trial was in 2017.
One of the two shootings happened before
Yes.
the contract.
You're right. The one that he was
acquitted of,
not
right?
convicted of
Odin Lloyd
was the one that he was convicted.
happened
Correct.
about 4 months after he signed his $40 million deal.
and the other two guys
Was before, about a month or two before.
That was the one where it was interesting listening to that detective because he says it's just two immigrant guys that were at a nightclub. We have no leads. We didn't know anything about this. We had nothing from that night.
What a documentary.
It was interesting.
I liked
you know,
it, but I just thought some of it was a little much.
And it was enlightening of starting with his high school. His high school highlights were incredible. He looks like I was watching with Courtney, and she says, "That's him in high school."
He looked like a grown man.
He looks like a grown man. You know, even when he's being taken out of his house in handcuffs, he doesn't look like a 23-year-old. You know, think about that. We're all older than Aaron Hernandez was.
Yeah, that's the
let
thing.
out in handcuffs.
You don't think about it because again, Brandon and I were kind of talking about it before you came in, and we were talking about, like I said earlier in the show, even he was 20 years
Just
old.
how young he was
When he got drafted, he was
from where
20.
he was. Yeah,
Yeah.
he graduated high school at 17, was out of college at 20 in the NFL. 20 years old.
making
I think
Millions.
he enrolled early at Florida.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
he
To
left
get down
early.
there. Well,
That was after his dad died.
Right. Well, I think that was the super, super catalyst of everything in his life. Because fast forward to the end of episode 3, and the CTE doctor says, this is the most serious I've ever seen of someone of this age. This could have been happening over the past up to 10 years. And the first thing I think of, he died at 27. When did his dad die? And so this is a slow build and roll down the hill for him that starts with him losing, whether he got along with him or not, the structure in his life. You know, whether it's seen as
Because
positive.
his mom was horrible.
Well, we'll talk about his mom. But when his dad dies, it seems like, you know, that's kind of when he's not around the right people. And other things start to be more and more. When he had no tattoos when he went to college. I mean, I know he was 17, but
Okay, that's one of the things in this documentary. I'm like, okay, we're stretching it a little thin. Because I feel like my big issues were, okay, with the movie, or the series, I guess, is I don't think tattoos needed to be a subplot of this story.
no, I think it was part of them saying he
under-
tried to thug out while at Florida because there was the shooting
I understand
that
that.
was never, wasn't it? There was a.
It wasn't a shooting.
I thought there was a fight and a
he
shooting.
punched a bouncer or something.
But I get what you're getting at with that. But to me, it felt like they were just finding a laundry list of excuses to make me empathize for this guy. And maybe I'm just too used to listening to last podcast on the left where I'm like, no, I understand why it could be it's a bad thing. It isn't necessarily all it's I don't want to. I'm trying not to say it's like it's all this person's fault for why this person became this. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying most of the time when you look at these killers, it's because of their upbringing. And I just don't like the idea of like, well, maybe it was weed, maybe it was tattoos, maybe it's because he's closeted gay.
Well,
like,
I think that you dropped the bomb there.
that blew my freaking mind when I saw that. I
Well,
was like, what?
back to the tattoos. I think that
buried
they
the
were.
lead, I'm sorry.
I think they were trying to use that as a showing of this is when his decision making
Right.
skills change.
I could see that.
And
yeah.
skills is the wrong word, but this is where
He
his
tries to be a thug, like you're saying.
more than that, but his inner mental should I do this impulsivity seems to grow.
Yeah, he didn't have any impulse
as he
control.
plays more, and he gets bopped in. He gets knocked out in high school, and then I don't know if he did in college.
Yeah, I mean they did make a big thing about that too with the CT. There's so many storylines in this 3-part documentary, but they showed a lot of when he got banged up for the Patriots, and I don't know if they showed it as much with Florida, but yeah, there were so many things. But are we gonna talk about the gays?
Let's
I don't want to make it sound weird. The gay stuff. Are we gonna talk about his sexuality?
Yeah, well, it starts with his high school quarterback
Just
saying,
casually dropping that.
well, he says, well, I remember first day of junior year, Aaron came over before school, we smoked a couple blunts, and went to first day of school, kings of the school, and then afterwards, just blew him, and we went home, and I was like, what?
we fooled around.
He said horseplay was a big thing for us. That's what it was. He said horseplay was a big thing for us. And I was like, wait a second.
Botched right there where he could have, if the guy was clever with this, he could have been horseplay turned into foreplay. Just saying, it was there. Hanging right in front of you.
But as you're asking yourself the hold on a second
question
about the horseplay, he says, Aaron and I were in an on and off again physical relationship from 7th grade through junior year.
Just in case. I feel like that's got to be the director just being like, okay, you said horseplay. What do you mean? Because he definitely just goes, any part where your brain could have any sort of like horseplay. He immediately after goes like, yeah, we were doing it.
And then his very next sit down interview, Dad has shown up.
My son's gay.
And everything his dad says is like, yeah, I was just like Aaron's dad, but as soon as I knew, I said, let's love and understand.
Yeah, bull.
And everything he says was, yeah, this happened, but why didn't the NFL help him? Everything he said was just trying to like pass blame.
I feel like they brought the dad in to just be like a sassy retort to anything that happens in a story. Because he's well, why would the NFL let him have a mansion and then pay for an apartment? Which valid part. And then when he's talking about when Aaron starts smoking, he gets abusing marijuana more, and he's hanging out with the drug dealer that he gets
Alexander. Was that
the
his
one
name?
he shot in the face.
Yeah, the guy that he was scared of.
Yeah, he was hanging out with him because he had weed, and then he's like, well, if it were legal, I don't think you would have been getting caught up with these people.
System that it is the fault of.
They literally zoom in for him to say that, and then cut back to the other part of the story. Like, he had no reason to say that.
So that was in part of his tirade that he had that they cut into 6
in.
different parts to fit in, because he went on a back in Nam style rant. That the director's like, dude, just let it run for a while, and then we'll just use it whenever we get to those things in the documentary.
And I hate to backtrack, but you're right with his high school boyfriend. That whole thing again threw me like, whoa, wait, I didn't know, because I had no idea.
And then the guy says, his next sentence is, I was only a small part of Aaron's sexual adventures.
Yeah,
and I was like, what?
Yeah, Aaron's being a man, like a man whore with
Aaron's
all the other
getting
football
out here.
That's the thing too. I was like, wait, is he just doing other dudes on the football team? Like I didn't, I was just so baffled by what was happening.
I think that was the quarterback's way of saying Aaron was bi.
Oh yeah, I definitely think he was bisexual.
Because the quarterback seemed like was homosexual, was into Aaron Aaron was about it for a while and then would rather have a girl blow him. That's kind of how it came across.
Yeah,
Brandon's
I
over
agree.
here saying, yeah.
I agree.
He seemed a little too like we were best buddies
don't-
and we had the perfect friendship.
I don't, and also, yeah, he clearly
It
li-
included rim jobs.
he liked Aaron more than Aaron liked him.
Yes.
But that whole, and this is again what I talking about with what I was talking about with Brandon, where I just think some parts are just dragged out. Why was the gay Patriots lineman
Oh, the NFL player.
had no reason to be in this documentary? Didn't even mention Aaron. All that, I guess I understand. There was like, this is their example of like, this is how I hid my sexuality.
Yes, I like this. I'm gonna hijack you right here. I'm gonna hijack you
What?
because out of the people that had a role explaining a part of Aaron's life but had no connection to Aaron, who did not belong in this documentary? Was it the gay Patriots lineman? Was it the long-haired, tattooed, semi-pro football player?
Oh, Lloyd's friend.
No. Yeah, I can keep going. There's these people that is it Aaron's like
That random friend. Who
the guy
popped in a
who's
few times?
basically like his turtle from Entourage that his job is to lose at pool.
I wish he would have got drafted, but in California,
Or the guy that talked to Aaron one time in prison. That's in the 3rd episode.
God.
All these people, when they show up, I'm like, okay, so how did you know Aaron?
That's what I was. But again, I was waiting for that gay lineman to say something.
To
'Cause
say,
he said he was on the Patriots. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
did they play together?
I immediately expected this was his NFL boyfriend. You know,
Right,
to
I
use
was thinking that
to
too,
use
yeah.
the words that I know and I'm comfortable with. You know, this is his
who would
this
be
is
his
his work
boyfriend?
boyfriend. I don't know. But
no, I was thinking that too. Like it was like he was having some sort of affair with this guy while he was with
but he did
his fiance.
He did a good job of explaining the beard, and then at the end
when he was
saying,
talking about gaining all that weight, and then
well, and he said, I had no plan for life after football because my plan was to use football to hide myself and then just kill myself once I can't play football anymore. And that was kind of like a whoa kind of moment.
no, and that's we've been joking a lot, but there's some dark stuff, and it's sad that I mean, I don't, even in the time that Aaron was playing and stuff, even then, it still wasn't fully accepted, and it did make me sad that gay people have to feel that way.
Well,
And,
there's only to this day been one openly gay active NFL player.
yeah, Michael
Sam. Yep, Michael
I was gonna
Sam.
say Michael Orr, but that's The Blind Side.
Right. Yeah, don't confuse those.
Two different things. Hey, they're both offensive linemen.
One was a defense.
Oh, damn it! You're right. Yep.
Mhm.
Sam was the defensive guy.
But there's so many parts of this documentary. Let's talk about his family now.
His mom.
But no, you can't. You got to start with. They start with the aunt. They start with
the
the
one
aunt.
that had cancer.
Yeah,
during the
because
trial?
first thing is his aunt chose to go to jail rather than testify anything against him. And then you see her and you're like, oh, because she's dying of cancer.
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen to her? I mean,
Yeah.
she's dying.
And then you find out that the reason that she is so ride or die for Aaron is because when Aaron's father died, Aaron's mom, Terry, after like 2 months, is sleeping with Tanya's husband.
Yeah, yeah.
That was rough.
You know.
You hate to see it. No, I couldn't even say it.
I was just say that for the end. Oh, Aaron hung himself. You hate to see.
You
it.
hate to see it. You hate to see it. And then
that's so
go
bad.
further down the road, my jaw dropped, and it shows how narcissistic and just I want to say unintelligent his mom is.
The fact that she's just casually asking him for $1 million.
That's what I'm saying.
While he's in prison.
She's saying, I told you, it was always just, oh, good job, Aaron. You did so great, and I'd get some cash. But if you just would have gave me $1 million when you got your 40, and you have to have Aaron Hernandez, who, from the second he says how much he likes Harry Potter, you realize this guy's intelligence is
Right.
a little on the
I
low
picked-
average
I
side.
definitely felt like he wasn't
And whether it's-
mentally mature.
Whether it's CTE or not, yeah. But
could have been, yeah.
But he
something.
has to explain to his mom, you really think I got like a check for $40 million? Do you really think that's how that worked? And just shut her down. And that's where I was like,
That's
wow,
the first
she
time-
is horrible. She's a horrible person.
That's really the only time you see him have emotion in this. Is when he's yelling at his mom.
That might be the only time I felt genuine empathy for
Right.
him was when it was like, oh wow, that his mom really is that bad.
Also, you can be an adult and like Harry Potter.
You can be an adult and like Harry
Tell
Potter.
that to Ashley in the other room.
Oh, I love Harry Potter, but if that's your go-to, yeah, this is the book I'm reading. As a 20, I get, I get your circumstances.
Just his attitude in general, though, before that made it seem
but
like
over the
he
course
wasn't
of 3
mentally
hours,
mature.
if they pull out 2 separate phone calls where you're talking about Harry Potter, I mean,
man, you're
Well,
in
you gotta
prison.
remember, this was 10 years ago when Harry Potter was right in the
that's
middle of
true.
Harry
This
Potter.
was like Deathly Hallows just
right in
came
the
out,
middle
so
of
I
Harry
had to
Potter.
reread all the
height
6.
of it, yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, you gotta
we
remember
have
that.
all 8 movies in a Blu-ray box set over there.
So the final big curve for me, and Jake, I know that you appreciated this as much as I did, when Baez, the amazing defense lawyer that successfully got Casey Anthony off, shows up for his second trial, because I have gone kind of in depth on the Casey Anthony trial, and it's wild what this lawyer accused her dad of to get her off.
And that's the thing. This Baez guy is good.
Oh, he's wicked good, but he's good in the way that you expect a good defense lawyer to be good. He's a liar.
He's ruthless.
He wakes up with his hair slicked back. His eyes
looks
never
like an
change.
80s villain.
His eyes never change, and every sentence he says to you, whether it's about the weather, sounds like he's trying to convince you it will rain later. You know what I mean? Everything he says is persuasive.
And the way that he did it was brilliant, because he's like, yeah, you can say that Aaron did it, but who's this guy? He's no saint. And he starts just bringing in his record.
I think it's his first or his
And I know
last
that's
name,
not how he sounds.
Alexander, the guy that Aaron shot point blank in the face.
and then bought security because he's afraid he was going to kill him.
It seems like the actual kingpin, the drug lord of the scenario, was this guy.
Oh, yeah. He was definitely yeah.
And he just tore him down little by little and little by little.
You can see him progressively get mad because he can see that this case is slipping through his fingers because he knows this Baez guy is way too good. But
Javi Baez, man.
the fact, dude, you
Swear
were
that's
right.
his
I
name.
appreciated it because I didn't realize that.
When they said his name, I
didn't know that-
almost did a spit take because I was like, no way, this is.
Yeah, well, see, I had seen him in because I'd watched the Casey Anthony thing too, but I was like, why do I recognize this guy? Like,
Yes!
why does he look so familiar? And then when they brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Well, that's the thing is I totally did not know. I didn't realize how out of the loop I was with the Hernandez story. I just knew he got convicted of murder. I didn't know he was involved with another case around the same time. So when they bring up that he was the
Jose Baez. I was saying Javi Baez, like the baseball
Javi.
player.
Jose Baez. But when they said that, so I totally forgot about this other case or didn't even know about it. And then, yeah, when they showed that he was Casey Anthony, I'm watching it and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Because this guy is like, man, there's got to be one on there. But where's our 3-part Casey Anthony Netflix documentary?
There is one.
Oh, there's
Oh,
a
it's on
great,
Hulu. It's
there's a
on Hulu.
great
Oh, yeah.
Casey Anthony documentary. Yeah, it's an ID thing, but it was a basis for the last podcast episode on it, and it's hilarious because they really do talk about they interview the lawyers that or the investigators that she led around Universal Studios, being like, "What's up, girl? How you doing? I know you. Don't look at me like that," and then turn around and be like, "Yeah, I don't work here."
Yeah, it's just I legitimately was like, you gotta be kidding. It felt like it was like a movie. Like, of course this is the guy. And yeah, I did have the same moment you did. I was like, where have I seen this guy before? And they're like, well, he was the lawyer of the Casey Anthony. And I was like,
Oh my God! I'm sorry. I'm on I'm on Jose Baez's Wikipedia looking at. George Zimmerman asked him.
oh,
And
jeez.
and Baez said no.
Baez would have. I mean, he got off anyway, but Baez would have definitely got him off. So by the end of it, let me ask you this, Paul, and I'll ask Brandon the same thing. Either one of you can answer. I don't know. What did you guys feel any empathy? Like, did you come away feeling any sort of sympathy or empathy towards Aaron Hernandez after watching it?
I'm going to twist your question a little bit. I think that this would not have happened if he would have been drafted by any franchise outside of the Northeast.
That's exactly what I told Jake before.
Because
I said
it's the Patriots.
because I said the thing that just kept coming back to me was, and he's not the only one who came into the NFL this young, but I really think that the fact that he was 20 years old when he came into and he became a professional athlete,
he almost went home with the money, you
Yeah,
know?
but like
yeah, it was 2 hours
but
away.
Exactly.
the guy lived where he was from. He didn't have any friends in New England on this team because they're all 5 to 10 years older than him, and his buddies are right up the street.
Right.
He has no reason to hang out with these guys.
And
really.
all of these guys are now trying to latch on to you even harder, saying, "Oh, we knew you
Yeah.
make it. We're so happy
Yeah.
for you. We're
Like,
proud of you."
Like, that's not the only reason, but I think that it's a big reason why his life didn't turn around once he made it to the NFL.
Right.
I don't have empathy myself, but I do have a better understanding of it. But I was telling him, it's like listening to the last podcast on the left. It's great to have the background and understand that most of the time when these killers do this, it's because they don't have the proper love and compassion that every child should have. And so, because it plays out the same way in this. His dad dies, his life kind of spirals out of control because his mom is a sycophant. And look at me, these are big words. You can tell I've been writing lately. Thesaurus. And so you kind of see that aspect of it, but I feel a little bit of empathy in a way that they just pumped him full of painkillers when he's on the Patriots. It just showed
Right.
that the NFL doesn't care about you. They
Well,
will
he
stick
was-
a syringe in you.
He was a player at the height of the.
He was a superstar.
Just throw pills at
Oh,
him.
you're hurt. Let me.
Well,
let
he's
me,
a superstar.
Let me put this. I can't remember the name they
I
had for that.
have a
painkiller.
syringe for you pregame and at halftime, and I have pills for you on the plane. He was
So,
a superstar during
It's
that
it's
NFL.
no wonder he got surrounded by the people he did. It's no wonder that I felt like there was too, and Brandon said this too, there was too much harping on him smoking weed. I'm like, a lot of athletes smoke weed to deal with pain and things like that. I feel like they kind of used weed as a weird crutch in this story. My only thing would be like, I guess it could be used because that's how he met all these Odin Lloyd and all these people was through weed.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like they played that up a little bit too much. But it's no wonder he ended up the way he did.
Initially,
He wasn't given a fighting chance.
you initially think that the Patriots are the perfect organization for a guy that
no
fell.
days off. Do your job.
He fell to the 4th round because of behavior and character questions. So you would think that he went to the perfect franchise, and according to everyone in that franchise, he did. And Robert Kraft loved him, until he testified at his trial.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that. Never heard Robert Kraft's voice before. That wasn't quite what I expected.
Do you think Aaron, if he were alive, he would have testified to the old rub and tug?
No.
I hit my mic.
But what if he would have been drafted even to Pittsburgh? What if he would have been drafted to Dallas? He has the structure of the
What?
NFL.
That one guy that lost to Poole to him said it. He said, "I wish he would have went to a place in California,
Exactly.
or
So,
somewhere else." Because
I'm gonna tie this into what you were saying about it. What if, because he was gonna do this either way, what if instead of going to his high school, his homie from high school that now sells drugs for weed, he goes to another tight end in his new city and says, "Hey man, I got a head. My head's just not right today. Like, where do you go? Can I hit up your guy?"
yeah,
And then he doesn't meet the super dangerous guy. He meets the guy that deals to the NFL players. Even that could have
No,
changed his
I
life.
completely agree, and it's not like it's not the only reason. You still make the decisions that you make.
Yep.
You gotta own up to them,
Right.
and you get consequences for any decision you make. There's consequences for it, but I definitely think that there was a good chunk of the reason all this stuff got out of control to the level that it did is because of how close he was, and he knew a lot of guys because
Yeah.
he was in his hometown.
and it's the same with any other killer in my opinion. Their upbringing in that situation isn't their fault, but they still made a choice to kill someone.
Yeah,
So-
they're not the only ones that go through the same situation.
Right. So we have to end this with the weird law that was allowing Aaron Hernandez's criminal conviction of murder to be expunged because he died during his other trial.
No, during that trial.
During that trial. Okay, so it was okay.
It was the second one because
It
he
was
already
the
been
second one.
convicted of the.
He was
Odin
convicted of
Lloyd.
one, and the more I hear about it, it seems like he thought things were looking up. He was acquitted, or he was found not guilty because of Jose Baez. And so
Can you imagine?
I think that he
I got
really
Aaron Hernandez and Casey Anthony off.
It seemed to me, and they
he made
I
the
think
decision.
they played it. That's how they made it sound in the documentary. He killed himself to try and give his family all his money that he earned.
Yeah, with the suicide note.
Because he thought that if he did this and he knew this law, I'm sure he knew this law, that when he's no longer guilty of anything, the Patriots signed a contract with him.
It's harder for them to arbitrate
Yeah.
not giving his money to his family.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that seems to be
Somebody
the
told
idea,
him that. Somebody told him that.
at least. I think it seems like he was trying to get his daughter.
It's very sad, but
Yeah.
it is sad because you can see moments like that where you can see there's still a human being in
every
there.
moment with his daughter on the phone, he was happy.
And there's still a human being in there, but
seemed to be the only thing he really truly
He cared about was his daughter.
yeah, but so much of that he just came off as an emotionless sociopath. So much of that to me, especially in the court, he had no emotion. I think he knew that he's like, I'm gonna get caught.
You get told showed no emotion.
I don't think showing emotion in something like that is definitely not a good idea.
Also, he was too cocky for his own good, man. He leaves a blunt right next to the body. He leaves shell casings in the used car.
He's not a master criminal. This is a CTE gangland.
That's the thing. Other than his sexuality, just the mountain of evidence that he left blew my freaking mind. I'm like, if you're gonna kill someone, don't you think you'd take a little bit more precaution?
Yeah, I mean, at least OJ gave the police a chance to fix it.
Anyway, we spent a lot of talk about this. I enjoyed it.
It was a good doc. It was a good doc series.
Not Firefest level, but it was.